Hello and welcome to the Impact Dynamics podcast.
I'm Andy Little.
My name is Rusty.
Yeah, we're here about talking rifle shooting, PRS,
And tonight we're talking about losing our shooting virginity. Mash director, mate. Mash director. Hello, Andy.
Hooray!
Hooray. Hope that's enough.
We need your vote.
Now we've caught up to where we are on the podcast.
All right, go on back.
Roll the outro. Andy, be gentle tonight.
Yeah, that was shocking.
It's my first time.
Oh.
Where's the button? Where's the button?
Where's the button? All right, there we go. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm doing well.
Good. We don't know when this episode's coming out.
No.
You potentially are away for work, so this is a bit of a bank episode.
Yep.
But unfortunately, Josh is here.
Yeah, still here.
Still here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hello, Josh. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm still going all right. Still
Cool,
going all
that's
right.
good.
Andy?
good. Yeah, I'm
Andy,
all right.
Josh?
Yeah.
Good.
Josh.
Yeah,
Good.
All right. Yep. Wrap up. All right, that's it. Okay, no, yes. So tonight we're talking about first times.
Mm-hmm.
First time shooting, first time seeing a gun, first time taking people shooting, whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Whatever comes up. So,
Yep.
Andy, do you remember the first time you ever saw a gun?
Whoa.
I know I'm throwing you off the deep end here. You didn't think I was
No.
going to ask that.
No. Like hands-on, I think I was a little tacker
Yep.
at my uncle's farm.
Yep.
And I've got that rifle now.
All right.
It was a little 22
Yep.
lever action,
Yeah,
and it's rusted out.
Mhm.
But the inside's good, still
Okay.
works.
Yep.
Just all surface damage, surface rust. This is a big throwback.
Yeah.
I talked about it on the podcast when we were back in your house, how I was going to pull it apart and rebuild it.
This is that one.
that one.
Yeah.
Still haven't done it.
Still haven't done it. Yeah. Well, you've been busy
That's right.
moving here.
PRS.
Yeah. Things.
So yeah, that one. So that.
It's
Yep.
It's just occurred to me that you've said that. We're going to come back to your gun.
Yeah.
But this could be a real trip out because this might be the old studio by the time this goes out. In fact,
Oh, my gosh.
this is the old
It
studio.
will be.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the old studio. This is how far ago we recorded this podcast. Anyway.
Doing a throwback to a throwback.
Throwback to a throwback with a throwback. So throwing
Inception.
back.
The throwback app.
It's the throwback. Let's throw these back.
It's my first time having this.
Right. There you go. We'll get into first times about that soon.
Right.
Anyway, back to your lever action.
Yeah. So obviously seen and heard about guns and rifles and things, you know,
Yep.
being a kid and a boy and into that sort of stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, first hands-on, it was, uncle's farm with my cousin. And it was sort of like, oh, cool. I guess this is
That's
it.
a gun.
That's
what
it.
They do.
This
Yeah,
rusty
okay.
little thing. What's this?
Mhm.
I think we were able to, send a couple of rounds through it. Nothing too crazy. It was just,
Yeah.
shoot at that. I think we were shooting at cans.
Okay.
Like, your classic, throw some cans on the ground, have
Yep.
a bit of a plank with the 22.
Yep.
And I'd say from then I was pretty well hooked.
There we go. From there, Josh, what about you? You got some firsts to attribute tonight. What was your first time seeing a gun, maybe shooting, but seeing? Do you remember it all?
Seeing would have been the. I can't. I would have been in my teens, I think. And
Okay.
It would have just
So
been
a little bit
like-
later in life than Andy.
Yeah, a little bit later in life. The
Yep.
first time I saw it definitely wasn't the first time I shot it though.
Okay.
So it would have been in the
okay.
teens somewhere, and it would have been my grandpa's. I think it was 303
Yeah, right.
from memory. Yeah,
Nice.
old rifle, very nice.
Yep. Timber, sort of full timber stock. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah, that would have been the first time watching,
Okay.
Very nice.
seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then first time shooting.
Shooting would have been 21. No, 20.
2020.
Yeah,
That recent.
I would have been 20. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, no, hang on. Are we talking about age or are we talking about year?
age?
Okay. Okay. All right.
Age.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So what was that a couple of months ago?
last week.
Yeah, it's in 3 years in the future. No, so when you were 20, okay, so
Yeah.
about what, 9 years ago?
Yeah.
8 years ago?
Yeah, about that long.
And tell us about it.
Would have been. I think there was a few rifles shot that day, so it would have started off with just air rifle, just an air rifle and some cans from I don't know, not very far away.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then 22, and I think it was a 22 to 50.
Okay, beauty.
Yeah, I think that was it for that day.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
I don't
What about
recall.
yourself?
I don't
Yeah.
recall. So I've got a few mixed memory. This is the joy of being old.
Well, I sort of had the same, but I just picked one that was like, hey, that's pretty early on. That's pretty early on.
You obviously know this whole sort of show business world better than I do because you're just like, I don't need to explain the details. I'm just going to get into it.
Yeah.
Look at you going. You're just a born entertainer, aren't you, Andy?
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, good job.
Yep.
Right.
A little what at OnlyFans.
Link here.
So, my first time shooting,
Yes.
to the best of my knowledge, I don't remember the first time I saw a gun, but I suspect it would have been at home.
Yep.
Dad had guns and would, from time to time, particularly you'd take them out to clean. So he might have gone out shooting with someone and then brought them home, and then he had this full elaborate cleaning procedure. I remember the smell.
Oh, yes.
He used now I'm going to forget the names, but like Young's oil. I think that was the one that some of the guys who've been around for a while will that very often cleaning 303s and old shotguns and stuff, and a very distinct smell in the oil. And I think it was Young's cleaning oil or something along those lines. But I'll look that up. Josh, can you look up if Young's cleaning oil or gun oil or something like that is a thing, or if I'm remembering that wrong, which is highly likely. So Dad would have had them out and taken me through them and that sort of thing. And I remember my first time with a firearm of some sort. Dad had a starter pistol.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I remember having it and holding it and pointing it at a Lego horse. And he told me off because my finger was on the trigger and I was pointing it at something I didn't intend to destroy. I learned gun safety very quickly in that moment.
Oh, very good.
From this starter pistol, which obviously wouldn't have done a whole lot, but would have gone bang quite loud.
Yeah.
In a small room. The first time I remember shooting was on again Friends Farm, so one of Dad's friends' farms. We were out there, and I remember getting behind the rifle. I got a feeling this wasn't my first time, but I'll go with your stage sort of presence of this is definitely my first time.
Yep.
I remember sort of getting behind this 22 and lining up and looking down the barrel and being like, oh, yeah. And Dad started yelling, stop. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And turns out there was a fence that we were shooting through and my barrel was lined up to one of the wires. Obviously through the scope, I didn't see that.
Yep.
But anyway, he picked it up, we'd readjusted and away we went and shot. I have no idea the distance. Let's say 50 meters on a target. Yep. And of course, I hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time.
Of course, first time. But that same weekend, I went out hunting, spotlighting
Yeah. Nice.
on the back, and they just kept driving basically till they found a rabbit. And I did shoot it. I did get it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but that was I was about 6 years old or something like that.
Right.
It was quite a long time ago.
Back to that oil.
Yes.
Does Parker Hale Young's oil?
That is the exact one.
Yes.
And those, I believe, who have been around it will now be remembering the smell because it was very distinctive.
Okay.
Our entire house would smell like this. And you know what gun oil generally is like? Well, this is like super potent smelling gun oil.
Right.
And the whole place would smell like that. Well done, Josh. Good find.
Nice.
You're turning into a regular Joe Rogan's Jamie. Look this up. Anyway, first guns, first shooting. Yeah, nice.
And you went out spotlighting?
Went out spotlighting, got a rabbit.
Yep.
And it was very successful, obviously. I think that was my first time shooting.
Oh, nice one.
But if it wasn't, no, leave it at that story because there is much to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first time shooting a shotgun, Andy?
Ooh, I do. Well, this is the thing. My memory sort of just
run with how you went before because you did it really well and I did it really poorly. Okay, let's clear the decks. Josh, was that same day you shot your first rifle the same day you shot your first shotgun?
No, it was not.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Andy, carry on with your first shotgun story.
So my first shotgun story.
Look at you with confidence.
Would have been just at a mate's property again. And I think this was down at the southeast.
Yep.
It's just private land. We just lined up a bunch of random stuff. I think there was like paint can, fire extinguisher.
Yep.
A watermelon.
Watermelon.
Are they called patty melons?
Yeah, patty melons.
Yeah. Line up a few of them.
Yep, of course.
Because we were down there and we had some 22s.
Yeah.
I think he had maybe a 243 or something.
Yep.
He had a couple of shotguns. And we were just like, let's see what this can do.
Of course.
Yeah. And
See
it
what
was
goes on.
Yeah, it was good fun. Like I think just the simplicity of it and just the way it just destroys things, just like makes things explode was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, one of the first
Those
times
first shotguns. Okay.
playing with shotguns. It wasn't clays and things because that's just way too hard to get into too quickly off the bat.
So I alluded before that I started when I was about 5 or 6, somewhere in there. But I wasn't allowed to shoot the shotgun because Dad had a side-by-side shotgun with no recoil pad on it.
Yep.
And it was pretty savage.
Yep.
And so I shot a bit when I was younger, probably through to about sort of ages 9 or 10.
Yep.
And then other things happened. Obviously, Dad didn't take us out shooting very often from there. And then we went off to England. And I got a feeling I might have told this story on the podcast before, but that was ages ago.
Yeah.
That was ages ago. As in, it wasn't like last week. So, therefore, forgotten about it already. And we went over and we stayed on this property in Norfolk.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you know England's island, the bit that juts out to the side, the top of that. So that's where they thought the Germans were going to invade. So this area has pillboxes and all sorts of stuff. It's very deep water up until the coast.
Yep.
Anyway, beautiful part of the world. And we stayed there on farmland. And I was meant to go to London the next day.
Yep.
We went there and we stayed in this farmhouse. And during dinner, the owner was like, there's some rabbits out the window. Quick. Open the window up, gave me a rifle. I'm like, all right, bang, drop the rabbit. He's like, cool, we'll get that after dinner. I'm like, I might stay here another couple of days.
Yeah,
I ended up basically turfing the trip to London and just stayed on this property. But we went out that night, so had dinner and then went for a walk, and we were 4 of us in line with shotguns. And I'd never shot a shotgun before.
Yep.
And I was about 21. So I had probably hadn't shot for about 8 or 9 years at this point. And walking along, and this rabbit run, and they're like, "All right, go for it." So I pull the gun up, and I'm just like, sort of understood the idea of sort of leading with it, and then pull the trigger. Didn't think about the recoil at all, and this rabbit started doing donuts, like just flips, as you would have seen rabbits do when they're hit with a shotgun. And I'm like, oh wait, I just shot a shotgun. Yeah, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought because of course. From 5, 6 years old through to 10 or 11 or 12 or something, you're told this shotgun is like this huge big gun and you can't handle it and all sort of gear. It was fine. So I think I shot 30, 40 rabbits the next few days with the shotgun. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep.
And then came back and bought one. Josh, what about your first experience with a shotgun? And then I'm going to tell you about my wife's first experience with a shotgun, which is a good story.
I think my first experience would have actually been with some coworkers, like recently. Well, past
really?
couple of years recently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us.
My first memory is from going out with Joe and Beth.
Okay.
At some property and just lining up some cans and like throwing cans in the air and patty melons and all that kind of gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been my first.
Nice. And no comment on the recoil. It was all fine. It was all no sweat.
Yeah, it was, I think, like a built-up thing in my head of like, this is going to kick more than anything else, and then pulled the trigger and I'm like, this is not much at all. This is fine.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I mean, I've got a nice big chunky recoil pad on mine, but that's just for length of pull purposes.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not for reducing recoil.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is about recoil on a shotgun, because we're a shotgun podcast now. We've morphed into it.
That's it.
No, it was so I came back from that UK trip. The thing is about a shotgun recoil is how you hold it. It's how you use it.
Definitely.
So I got all excited, and so my girlfriend at the time and a good mate of mine. Now he was a break dancer. He was ripped. He was absolutely ripped. He'd be doing handstands, spinning things. I don't know what they call, but he was very strong. And so we went out to this property, and we're like, all right, we're going to shoot some shotguns. So I put it into my girlfriend at the time, wife now, shoulder. And of course, she's fairly petite and just said, all right, so you hold it in really tight and head down on the gun and keep it really solid, firm in there. It's not going to bite you as long as you pull it in. Now, the danger with the shotgun is if you leave it off your body because you've got hesitation, it's going to build up momentum and punch into your shoulder. So she held it really firm, really tight. I stood behind it just in case.
Yep.
And she shot and she barely moved.
Yep.
She just bang. Yep.
That's it.
Go the shotgun. What's the big deal with this thing?
Yeah.
So I then gave it to my friend who was also called Andy, who was very strong, and gave him like, all right, just hold it really tight, mate. You'll be fine. No, just point it that way or ready to go. And we weren't shooting anything, literally just get used to the gun.
Yep.
The dude took 4 steps back under recall because what he didn't do, he thought he relied on all his strength. He didn't position it into his shoulder. And to be fair, we didn't really know how to we did know how to train that, but we didn't think it was that big a deal for a guy who was tough and strong. And so he just sort of threw it up near his shoulder and said, yeah, we're good, bang.
Yep.
And just punched him hard in the shoulder. And he ended up, stepping about 4 steps back.
Yeah,
and we're
wow.
like, oh, wow, we should have been standing behind that guy.
Yeah.
So, yes, anyway, that was much more amusing first shotgun story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon.
It's quite often I'll see people, the butt of the shotgun, not in their shoulder at all.
In the
but
bicep.
In the bicep.
Yeah.
And it's just,
What are you doing?
I can imagine the bruises you'd have after that.
It was,
Yeah.
it was fun.
I mean, I'm sure you've, after a full day of shooting clays and things, you've come around with a bit of that's a bit tender.
Yeah, if you do it well, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think this may be it. We used to have
Been shooting wrong.
We used to have 1,000 round buy-in.
Yeah.
For that's I'm overselling it. A 250 round buy-in.
Yep.
So we used to go out. The way we got started in shotguns, we got into shotguns was we would take. So this is Dutchy, myself,
Yep.
and a couple other guys, and we would go out and we would take. You had to buy a case of shotgun shells, so 250, and enough clays to cover you, depending on how good a shot or how bad a shot you are.
Yep.
Sometimes those clays would cover a lot of people. And so we'd go out, we had a couple of automatic throwers, and it was just, right, this is the line where we throw, this is the line where you stand, go.
Yep.
And so there'd be buttons, a couple of foot sort of buttons and a couple of voice activated ones or handle or whatever, and you just press it and just clays would appear and just up in the air and just whoever shot him, and you argue about it later.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great. And so we got really good at the ones going away from us.
Yes.
But we would go through a lot of rounds in a day. And we go for a weekend. The weekends when we were away for 3 days, that was 1,000 round buy-in. You had to bring four boxes, four cartons of shotgun ammo.
Yep.
But it was great fun. We ended up going to a club. We're like, we should try this, like, not because we're amazing or anything, but just they should actually go and try and do a round of skeet.
Yep.
So we went. And it was quite a unique experience. So a friend of mine called Jamie, who you may or may not know, and then Dutchy, I think, was with us, and Stu. Now, Stu was the original Southern Shooters video host on the early, if you go back and look at the early videos from Impact Dynamics, I wouldn't put my mug on I was too shy to get in front of camera. That's changed slightly. I wouldn't, so Stewie did.
Yep.
And so Stewie and myself and Jamie, we'd go and do this club. And we went and we were okay shots. The stuff going away from us or coming at us all over.
Yep.
The stuff side to side, a little bit average.
Yep.
But every time we hit one, the other duo or the other two, we'd be like, yeah, good job, nice. Everyone else silent.
Yep.
Silent. Except one dude. And what became a friend of ours, but he was like, these guys have some life to them.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah,
these guys are enjoying themselves. And like every time we'd be like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Smashed it. And and he like started talking to us. And the further around, so skeet, you start on one side and you sort of work your way around to the other side. And the further he got, the sort of more buddy he became with us, to the point where he's like, so obviously you guys have shot a fair bit before, but we're not seeing you at the club. What do you do? And we're like, we just go out to a paddock and just like blare away at like 250 rounds in an afternoon.
Yep.
He's like, worked out he didn't live too far from us. We're like, you better come out with us.
Yeah.
He ended up, he still went to the club a little bit. He just came out with us all the time. And just decimated plays for a weekend.
Oh, nice.
That's yeah, we've moved on from first somehow, but anyway.
Oh, well, that's the way to do it.
Oh.
The first experience at a shotgun club. I've never been to a shotgun
spot on.
club.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've always sort of been in the back of my mind. And
that's not true, because our club is now approved for shotgun. So you've been to a shotgun club. You just haven't shot shotgun at it.
No. But I
was the first person to shoot shotgun at our shotgun club.
You were.
All
There
the
we
first.
go. All the first. Shooting clays at their shotgun club. Yeah. Anyway, and aside from that, carry on.
I think it'd be really cool to like I've often thought, I should go just check it out because, shooting in a paddock with a thrower right next to you or maybe just off to the side where it's straight in front, up and down is one thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as it's out to the side, crossing like in front of you and rolling across the ground, be like, that's why I keep missing those foxes out of the car.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, Andy, have you first pistol shooting?
Ooh.
Can you tell us about that?
First pistol.
Josh, have you shot pistols?
Yes.
I have. At the club.
Do you remember? Just at the club?
It would have been at the club.
Give us that's
Actually, it was during a
recent one.
match.
My
first thing was during a match.
Right. Tell us about that.
One of them.
Yeah. Just it was the little 22. I think it was
The one that I ran?
I reckon it was the one you ran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Reckoning? Rumble.
Rumble would have been the first one. Yeah.
Okay. One of the 22 matches you ran.
One of them anyway. Yeah. And was just very much came up and actually just picked it up, shot it, got on with my stage and then finished the stage and went, hey, that was the first time I've actually shot a pistol.
Nice.
Oh, good. Andy,
Yeah,
what
that was
about you?
good.
Do you remember your first pistol shoot?
Yeah, I do. So
Actually, Josh, one more question. Was that the last time you've also shot a pistol?
No.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't
Okay, cool.
actually.
All right, we'll move on then. We're not doing lasts.
Yeah.
All right.
Only first.
Andy.
yeah, so I think we've got a mutual friend who did some work downstairs. His name Ben.
Oh, yes, Ben.
Yeah.
When you said did some work downstairs, it could be that we're a few gins in, but
Well then.
I went elsewhere. Carry on. Ben Johnson,
Yeah.
an upstanding individual.
That's right.
Correct.
Not downstairs. He I believe he runs a little thing at a club in Adelaide.
Yep. Based out at Adelaide
It's out north somewhere.
North, very north.
Out north somewhere.
Out north.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not Googling it.
yeah.
Bring that up, Josh. Bring that up.
Well, that was what was that? That would have been maybe 5 years ago. Maybe I went down there 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep.
I'm telling the story.
You are.
So I went down there, sort of checking the place out. I think at that time, talking to Ben quite often, sort of getting the down low on, what's shooting.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, while you're here, like there's heaps of people shooting handguns. Why don't you
Come and join in?
Yeah, join in, have a crack. So that was really cool. Yeah, I got to shoot I think 5 or 6 different handguns.
Yep.
Ranging from 22s to I think it was a 44, one of them.
Yes.
And there was a race gun, like a full comp. And yeah, I was just like, hey, this is pretty cool. and then now it's progressed to I've got my handgun license.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice. I am trying to decide whether or not my first handgun experience was on like a public range where you pay and you go shoot.
Yep.
Which it might have been.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was getting my dealer's assistance license.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know. So I'll tell both. Why not?
Sure.
Actually, scrap both of them because neither of them are super interesting stories.
Okay.
One of the first experiences I had with handguns was on my wedding day.
Oh, this sounds like the sort of wedding I should have been to.
You should have because we're like, well, we're the blokes and it takes us 10 minutes to get ready because we're so obviously good looking.
Yeah.
That's right. Doesn't take a lot of work.
No, not at all.
You would experience the same.
It takes me ages.
Really? Well, I can help with that because you should.
Yeet.
That's how excited I am to talk about the bearded chap.
Yeah.
There is actually a shooting on my wedding story. This is not just a plug, but we are supported by the bearded chap. And so I know we've done this one before, but this is the deodorant. This is the spice deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
Even I have some of
Good.
that.
You have some of that? It's good, isn't it?
It is
Josh,
good, yeah.
tell us
Delicious.
It is very good.
It's natural. It doesn't use aluminium, which is good because you shouldn't be putting that in your pits. And it is It's good. There's not much more to say about it. Smells good.
It literally does last all day too.
And it does last all day and it works. Like Josh has stopped smelling at work, which is nice. It's
Wow.
just
Purely because of that.
Wow.
purely of that.
Yeah.
So you guys can go to thebeardedchap.com/impact and use there or use the code impact on their website and you'll be obviously getting yourself less stinky, which is important. Andy,
Yep.
Josh.
Yeah. I've already got it on. What are you talking about?
I know, it's good. But I'm just a reminder. And you can get yourself less stinky and you can also support the podcast as well. And sorry, carry on.
It will help you get ready quicker.
That's
Is that what you're
exactly
trying
right.
to tell
That's
me?
where we're getting to.
Also, is that the military spec one?
This is the mil spec. They only do
Yeah.
the mil spec.
Yes.
Yeah. And so this was made in conjunction with some feedback from some diggers
Nice.
on what they needed to keep the smell low key, but effective.
Yeah.
And so Luke is the shooter and yeah, just all round top bloke. So that's the guy who owns the Bearded Chap, and we spent some time up there. Good dudes, rad, and I use this stuff for years prior to them supporting our show.
Yep.
So big fans of it. So you can go to the Bearded Chap, probably appear here, .com/impact, or use the code impact, and you can help the show and help yourself. So on my wedding day, because we're blokes and we use the Bearded Chaps that we didn't back then because they didn't exist.
You would
Getting
have,
ready didn't take long. I would have. That's
definitely
all I would
would
have
have,
done.
yeah.
I wouldn't even gone shooting. I would have just played with that all day.
Yeah.
That's
Getting married?
a little
Nah,
scary.
don't worry.
So I figured, well, we need to do something during the day. So we went into Marksman, which is a shooting range here in Adelaide.
Yep.
And we all dressed, all in our suits and ready to go. We went in there and we shot guns.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and the girl, I guess the girls just, did whatever girls do on a wedding day,
Yeah. Very
drinking
nice.
champagne and putting on makeup. We went and shot guns.
Yeah.
It was much more fun.
That seems better.
Then we
I
went
did
from-
my wedding day wrong.
You did, mate.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did. I wore skate shoes and went and shot guns. It was,
Yep.
yeah.
I got nothing.
And then we went to Hungry Jack's and got some food and went up to the wedding and did that thing. So
Fantastic.
it was
Solid.
it wasn't my first experience shooting handguns, but it was one of my early experiences.
Yeah. Nice.
And I don't know why this is. Now that I've actually got a bit more knowledge about shooting guns, I should think about it. But I was terrible with a 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
I was terrible with 38.
Mm-hmm.
I was really good with a 44.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, 44 revolver. I was really good with that.
Yep.
I don't know whether it was the hesitation of like, this is a much bigger bang, so I'm going to be
Yeah.
more controlled.
Yep. Possibly.
Perhaps that was it.
Was that the last gun you shot in that order?
Yeah. No, I think we shot the 45 auto. I don't know. This is going back quite a while.
Yep.
Quite a while. I remember we
Well,
had
quite old.
Hungry Jacks for lunch.
Yep. Well, that's important. You got
Well,
to eat.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I am quite old. That's right, Josh. I am.
Just thought
Yep.
I'd get that in
But
there.
I stay young by using the Bearded Chap. Right. So that was my first, second possible. That was possibly my second pistol experience.
Yeah. Nice. Very good.
It was good. Andy.
So what's the next first?
Oh, well, this is. Have you got
Hunt.
a choice? Have you got a first experience question?
Like,
Obviously
say-
not. Can I?
I'll jump in from my experience.
Oh, right.
then.
Here we
Yeah.
go.
What was your
Josh.
first competition shoot you did?
Still waiting.
Cool story. Andy.
Okay, my first competition shoot
yes.
was the 2017 Darwin Practical Rifle Challenge.
Gone
Was it
back.
That was gone back, 2017. So
I was only like 10 then.
you're not much older now. And so so I'd been running PRIs at this stage. And so I'd never shot competition of any sort.
No.
And then got into the long range shooting, got into training, and just purely from having done it rather than being like some, actually particularly good at it, but good enough to do it.
Yep.
And talk about that story one other day. But we were running PRIs, and then Butters came down and shot the PRI, won.
Yep.
And then they ran a match later that year, and I wasn't in a position to get up there. But then in 2017, I was. So I went up and shot the match, and that was the first and the last big match I've shot.
Wow.
Now, depending when this podcast comes out, because it's a mystery, we don't know, I may or may not have shot a PRS match by this stage.
I'm sure we can put a little disclaimer somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do two versions. So now I have shot a PRS match since that match.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't shot a PRS match yet, but it's coming. You can make that.
Can we just leave both in there?
I think you're going. I figured you're going to leave both in there, and you, the viewers at home or the listeners at home, can decide which one of those statements is true.
I'm so confused.
Anyway, the point being that was my first competition.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Andy, your first comp.
Yeah, so I guess early on a little bit in the PRI and then sort of moving into the PRS stuff.
You didn't shoot the PRI, did you?
No.
You helped on the second one.
I was floating around. I was helping out here and there.
You were.
But the
Good
first
help as well, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Good help.
Yeah, I'm still helping out here, by the way.
Is that what you call it? Okay, good.
But yeah, I was sort of like, and that's why I try and push like people to RO and spot and help out because I
That's
learned.
how you started.
Yeah, it's how I started, and you just learn a lot from watching other people make mistakes.
So let's dig into that because it's a
Yeah.
very interesting topic.
Yeah.
2017, you ran because you didn't come out 2016. You weren't
No.
really on the scene.
Yep.
2017, this is back in the day where we had basically as many helpers as we did shooters.
Yeah. Yep.
Right, because it's much more lower key event. We didn't have a lot of shooters,
Yep.
and a lot of guys felt very nervous and just wanted to be involved.
Yep.
We actually did was it the week or 2 weeks before we all went out there,
Yes.
and you guys could shoot if you wanted to. We
Yes.
ran you through the stages. Do you remember that at all? Did you shoot any of the stages prior to running them?
Yeah. Some of them I remember. There was one where you sort of like have to walk out targets, I believe.
Oh yes, this stage.
Not the walk. You have to run out a target, drop a
Yeah.
target. You could choose. You choose like 200, 300, or 400 meters?
So
then-
this stage, this has got.
Yeah. This one
So,
pisses off a
Do you
lot of
physically
people.
have to actually run out and
Josh,
place the
let me give you the
This-
stage.
I'm
brief.
intrigued.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't remember the time, but I think it was about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right for this stage.
And you think, heaps of time.
And there was you had a quick deploy IPSC target, right? So
Yep.
these are the targets that fit and they
Mm-hmm.
just sit on top of a star picket.
Yep. So did you have star pickets at distances
There was a
already?
star picket at 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500.
Yep.
All right. And what you could do was that if you, now, it's going to be sketchy on the things, but if you put it at 100,
Mhm.
you had one
One shot.
round, two, whatever it was. You had like one round. Let's just details. 1 round. If you took it to 200,
Yeah.
you had 2 rounds.
I think I get the concept
300,
say each.
4 round.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually think it was a little bit more than that, but you get the idea. The further you run and get back, the more rounds you have.
Yeah.
But of course, you've got less
But
time.
yeah, you have less time.
And of course, you're puffed out.
Yeah.
Now, when we did some of the testing for this, 500 meters in the time frame given was doable, but you had to be fit and you had to be able to literally run a K.
Yeah.
You had to run a K because you had to get out there and back.
Yeah.
And half of it, you had a 9 kilo target with you.
Yep.
The difference that translated across to the actual location we did it in
Yeah.
was that it was sand, effectively sand dunes.
Yeah.
And a little bit of downhill, a little bit of uphill. And so the 500 meters was basically not a chance at all.
Yeah.
And so there was a few guys, a couple of real fit dudes who pushed to 400. And they came back and they nearly missed all their shots because they were just so ruined
Yeah.
by the run.
Well, that's 800 meters all up. That's
Yeah.
a solid run on its own.
Yeah.
The 100-meter mark for me is a solid run, just one way. But let alone shooting.
Could you just stand out there with just a little hammer and be like, ding, 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 impact?
And so, yeah, the idea was, and look, this is back in the day when these stages were just very novelty, but also like lots of reward and lots of risk. So
Yeah.
you could run
So,
to 100. Or
Just to
200.
clarify, was it so if you got out, if you were willing enough to run to 500 and put it back, you would then get 5 points?
You
compared
get
to
no
one?
points. You'll get
Well, but like if you could get the 4 shots, was that 4 points that you would get as opposed to
no
2
you would-
points at
you would
200?
You would get 12 points. It was 3 points per impact. Back then, because there was no
Yeah.
PRS, there was no rules like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could assign any number of points to any single shot.
Yeah.
So you would shoot, and every impact was worth 3 points.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm sketchy on the details. It might have been that you got 5 shots no matter what, but the further you ran it, the more points those shots were
Yeah.
worth. I'm unsure, but
Yep.
it was definitely weighted in a significant way where to run out there was a lot more.
It's the more risk that you took,
Yeah.
the bigger the reward
We had
you would
we
get.
had dudes who were fit throwing up after it. They went
Yeah, right.
that hard in the sand to get out there, to put their target up, to run back, to get behind the gun. And there was guys, because we had lots of video of it, guys who would get out there, get back, and then just be too ruined to get a shot off.
Yeah, wow.
Or get back and the time would go.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was just, and then there are guys who were, would get down, shoot their rounds, get some points, and then vomit. There's
Yeah.
reasons we can't do these stages anymore. But
Yeah. I love that concept though of you, like, you mentally have to prepare for that and go, all right, I'm either going to commit to not running as far to just bank points, or I'm just going to Hail Mary this and Leroy as far as I can and get back.
That's it.
it was like from an enjoyment, and the stages then were written out of pure like, what torture can we inflict on each other?
That's it.
Plus, like, what would be actually like fun, challenging, gamified, all that sort of thing. You not super practical in many ways and bits and pieces, but just like that'd be cool to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And while at the time there's feedback, as there often is, it's often looked on with like a lot of reminiscing, like you're talking about, Andy. Now, like you remember that stage, you're going to remember that stage forever.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see it in a PRS match. One, I mean, the logistics of closing a range to be able to run down range and do all that sort of gear is a separate thing.
Yeah.
But it was
Won't be the same.
It was it was certainly it was. I enjoyed it because I didn't have to do it.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry, Andy, to take away from your first
No, that's
competition,
all right.
you were involved in that. Were you involved in that stage or other stages?
Other stages as well.
This is the day that you.
So we were sort of like going
that's
around
right,
and trying a bunch of them. And I reckon, just off memory, I think I was running my 2D3 at that point.
Okay.
Because I had 270 and a 2D3.
And a 2-3.
Yeah.
Smart call.
There was another stage I remember where it was take a shot, can't remember the targets or distances, run over, and then you got a shotgun, shot at clay with a shotgun. And that was really good fun,
Yep.
to sort of break it up a bit.
Yes.
Another one
Wait,
that
do you know who was really good at that stage?
who's-
Luke McKinney was good at that stage because Luke had come from a sporting clays background.
Yep.
And so shooting shotgun. Now the shotgun was, as is still the case, because we had shotgun the other day in the Buchan match in the Gun Sport Winter Classic.
Oh, nice. Yep.
You have to shoulder the shotgun and make an attempt to hit the target.
Yeah.
And the idea there is that like you can't just like pull it up and just fling it into nowhere land.
Yep.
You have to at least attempt to hit the target. Hit or miss, doesn't matter.
Yep.
But you have to attempt to hit the target.
Yep.
Back in that day, I think those clays counted for points.
Yeah. I think they did. I
think
reckon
so.
they would have.
And actually I'm not, do you know what? I'm not sure they do. I think we left it to the rifles, but the idea was like if the
Well, it was a bit of like maybe a side match or something.
No, it was the real deal.
Okay.
But I don't think they counted for points. But if the RO wasn't happy with your effort, as in you didn't even attempt to try, because what you're trying to do is stop guys gaming, and then they had clays coming out. So like rather than just like, oh, clay's released, shoot it at the ground, like that didn't count because you're not at least attempting. You don't have to hit it because it's not a shotgun competition, but you have to spend the time to at least try and point out the target.
Yeah, at least look like you're going to try and
At
point
least
at the
try.
target.
At least try. And plus, it's a bit of fun shooting.
Yeah, why not?
clays.
Yeah.
And back then, there was nothing. I mean, there was probably like a total, some total of like $500 products on the table. So not a lot. Actually, probably a bit more, actually, 2017. But Lucas, because he had that background.
Yep. Smashed it.
And there was a target at 400 and there was a target at 800. The target at 400 was worth 1 point and the target at 800 was worth 2.
Yes.
And so you could shoot whichever target you chose. You had to tell your RO whichever one you chose. And I remember that stage was shot on an area that was relatively sandy. And that prone shooting position got worn in. So you actually it was probably a good foot deep by the time the match finished. People were just like worn their way into that shooting position with their feet. They just kicked out the dirt from it. But yeah, Luke hit every clay and every target.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was.
That's the way.
It was quite good fun. But that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
good fun stage. I think I had a crack on that one. Quite
Yeah.
a few guys on that practice day with the ROs did.
Yeah, yeah. I remember one that I was helping on actual match day was
Yep.
there was two. There was a snooker. So you
Oh,
had different
snooker,
coloured
yes.
targets at different distances. And the other one was the unknown data and rifle. So you had a bunch of 2D3s
Yeah.
with not zeroed scopes and I think you had 69 grain projectiles, 55s, and there was maybe just different brands.
So the first off to cover snooker.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
these are fun. Snooker is a really good
Those
stage.
cool stages.
We
Yeah.
actually shot snooker as a training practice for years.
Yeah, yeah.
So snooker had a round ball target, red target at 200 meters.
Yep.
And that was far left on the range. This is like a natural field sort of property.
Yep.
We're up on a ridge. So 200 meters far left. That was the ball. You had to hit the red 200 meter ball to then engage one of the other targets. You brown, blue, green, yellow, pink and black.
Yep.
Look at us knowing snooker. And those were all in groups. So you had is it
I can't really remember too much, but
whatever. It was two. So brown and blue were together.
Yep.
Pink and black were together. They were the further ones out to about 900 meters. And so like black might have been 900, pink might have been 850 or 820 or something. And then we moved across the property. And so you actually had probably a shooting span of about, what's that, about 120 degrees?
yeah, it was fair spread.
It's quite a spread. And so your wind pattern was changing depending which targets you were shooting at. And so you, and I think they were weighted in points. The further out they were worth more points. And there wasn't enough time to shoot them all for most, I don't think there was enough time to shoot them all at all. So you had to decide which targets you were going to shoot. And I think it's one of those things that you shot the red ball and then you would determine which one of those targets you would shoot. And if once you've chosen the target, so say you chose the blue target, you could not, it was hit to move. You could not move on until you hit that target.
Yep.
So if you chose the one at 900 meters and were struggling to engage it because there was not a lot of backdrop on that one, you would shoot that target until you hit it. And that could be your entire stage.
You could get stuck just on that one target.
Yeah. Or you could go for the easy ones, the yellow and green ones, but you didn't score many points. So lots of strategy in that one.
And I remember like trying to spot for a couple of guys, and it was like it's a little bit hilly, like there's some mounds and some valleys, and if their shots were falling low, you couldn't actually see where they were hitting because they'll dip down behind
Into the
mountain.
valley. Yeah.
And I think that's like a stage like that is where a few of the guys started to run red dots because they would either dial for the further targets and then just bring the red dot over for the close one, for the big one.
Interesting. So the next stage you were talking about, all right? So we had, Josh, you'll be amazed by the fact that we could actually do this. We had 3 rifles.
Yep.
All right. And this was a team stage. So you and a buddy were shooting this.
Okay.
Yep.
There was a target out somewhere in the paddock, right?
It was
Yeah,
so
just-
good.
And it was
Unknown.
unknown. And it was in this area that it was difficult to guess. You know, Andy was talking about the sort of the gullies and stuff. So it was hard to actually pick. And it was separate to those other targets we're talking about with snooker. It was a fair way away from them. So there wasn't a lot to be able to gauge. You could sort of know that it was less than 500 meters and more than 200 meters. But beyond that, it was a bit of a guess. And you had a scope that was not it was not zeroed. It was not zeroed at all.
Yeah.
And you had 3, and you would basically turn over a card, and that would tell you which gun you were going to use. It was a Howe or a Ticker and a Savage or something.
Yeah.
And then you would turn over another card, and that would tell you which box of ammunition you were going to draw from. And there was 40 grain, there was 50 grain, and there was 60 grain VMAX loaded into these 223s. So you could end up with
complete wild cards.
Yep.
Exactly right. Right. So they're all tested, they were all safe, and we were on a good area that you had a lot of fallout too, and you would see where it hit. And the whole point of the stage was a communication exercise between your spotter and your shooter. I think every scope was not allowed. I think it was not allowed to be wound beyond a certain.
I think you could zoom and things, but I don't think you could dial. You couldn't change anything.
You couldn't change anything, but they weren't zeroed for the gun for the scope. They were ballparked, but they weren't zeroed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so the idea was that you would load your ammo, you would shoot, and your spotter would then be like, I've seen it. That was the intention. You'd see it that first shot.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to come to the left X amount, and they would hold in the reticle and do that sort of thing. And some teams aced it, like maybe second or third shot, and there was 8 shots off memory that they could shoot.
Okay, so you had a fair amount of shots to sort of get yourself.
Yeah, but each shot was worth a point.
Yeah.
So each shot you missed wasn't a point.
You're costing yourself
Correct.
points.
And so some teams got on like second or third shot in, and they would just bank
you just
5
bang,
or 6
bang, bang.
points. Yeah. And then some teams got nowhere near the target because
So
their
it's
communication was
really an
terrible.
exercise of shooter spotter
Communication. It was
communication
100%
is everything.
Yeah, it was not a hard target to hit. It was a relatively generous target. But your spotter had to be able to go, right, I've seen where it's gone.
Yeah.
You need to aim here. Okay, it's close. You're about 3/4 of the way there. Go this much further, away you go.
Yeah, I do remember. Maybe you couldn't zoom in, because if you zoomed in too much, then you'd be able to spot your own shots pretty effectively.
I don't know. I'm not sure they were going within the range of the scope, but
anyway,
whatever it might be. Yeah, it was a unique one, and then actually the guys who did well with it actually really enjoyed it, because it was the guys who worked out that this was not a shooting exercise; it was a communication exercise. Did really well, and the guys who had like as a team gone, right, this is our game plan. This is what we're going to do. This is going to how we tackle it. They did well.
Yeah. It was a classic one to see, because that communication, like that standard, I guess you call it like standard correction or something, where you'd go, you're either calling a correction or you're calling where you saw impact. So you got to figure that out first, because say if you miss off to the left and the spotter says you're either left 5 targets or you need to come right 5 targets. Like it's that. And then some of the guys would be like, oh, you're a little bit left. Okay, well, how much is a little bit?
Should I move this far over or just this much far over?
Because neither of you had like real like reticles, so you couldn't say, oh, 1/2 mil or 5 mils. It was, you had to talk in target size. So you're 5 targets left.
Exactly. You nailed it.
And the guys who were just like, oh, you're a bit left, or come up more. It's like, okay, how much?
Do I come up a little bit or do I come up a lot?
And even still, what's a lot?
What's a lot mean?
Yeah.
What's a little bit mean? Yeah.
But if you can, if you ever
that stage, we're well off topic now, but
yeah,
you guys know this podcast.
Coffee?
What?
What gin were we having? Yeah. So that stage was sort of born out of the year before, the 2016 stage.
Yeah, right.
There was a 2016 stage where it was, again, a team stage. Yep. I don't remember exactly what you shot, but it was a team shooting stage, and you could communicate. And the amount of teams we saw just fail miserably because they hadn't set up their communication. And so you would have guys running MIL and MOA and not discussing the fact they were indifferent. They would be yelling like, come across 0.5. So the MOA guys saying come across 0.5 and the MILs guys going, it seems like a lot. All right. And then shooting the other side of the target.
Yeah.
And the MOA guy's like, you shot 3 MOA to the right. And just back. And then the other one was, like reporting like, like 0.3 high.
Yeah.
And then the shooter would go, oh, okay. And would then aim 0.3 high and then end up 0.6 high.
Yep.
Because the spotter was saying, you're hitting 0.3 high, you need to come down 0.3, but not actually using those words.
Yeah, yep.
And it exposed a weakness in the team shoots where their communication was not on point. And to be fair, like, this is not bagging any of the dudes. This is super early days of this stuff for any of us.
Yeah.
And some of these guys got assigned a teammate when they got there because they didn't particularly know anyone.
Yep.
So it's just that's what it was. But there are
learning curve.
Well, absolutely. But there are other guys that were there that got assigned a teammate the night before and went, right, I see this stage. This is how we're going to play this stage. I'm going to tell you where you hit,
Yep.
so you can make your corrections accordingly. What are you running, MOA or MIL? Yeah, they would have those conversations prior.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff we trained people in.
Yeah.
So it was good. So then the year after, we sort of upped that to the point where, what if you? And the idea was like, what if you picked up a gun and like, all right, I need to hit this target for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this gun is doing. I don't know if there's the right ammo for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is hopefully not a situation you ever find yourself in, but a situation that could happen.
Yeah. Yep.
And so you've got ammo that you don't know where it's shooting, all that sort of gear, but someone's spotting for you and they can tell you what's going on. So yeah, that was good.
See, like these style of matches fascinate me. So yes, I've only been around for the past few years, so it's very everything is PRS orientated.
Yeah.
You know, while at club matches there's a little bit of leniency of like sometimes a spotter will call you stuff and like there'll be a little bit of help there. Like I very much see the PRS side where it's you get nothing, nothing
Andy,
during the stage.
I'm match director for our club in September.
You are, yes.
Should I do like a PRI throwback match?
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I like hearing these matches.
Hopefully
Like, I would love to shoot a match that's that sort of style.
I wonder if I can get
down on one of the other ranges. You have to run out target. Yes.
I wonder if I can get some leniency to not have the scores count for the series. Do you know what I might do? I might because we often don't run a match in January. So I'm wondering if I could speak to the guys there and say, right, I'll be the MD for the January match.
Yep.
Because the January match usually is like very low key.
Yep.
And we don't count it as part of the series.
Yep.
So if that's the plan again, perhaps I'll offer to be MD for the January match and bring out some old PRI stages with PRI rules. Where everything is weighted one way and can very quickly become very unfair. In a good way, in that like this single target is worth 11 points. Because we had one, Josh, where you had a target at 1,100 meters or 1,200 meters or something on those lines. And back then, none of us were really great shots. I mean, Butters won those matches, so we can't have been that great a shot. And for every shot you took, the amount of points you would get for a hit diminished.
Yeah, right.
So if you hit the first round, you got 10 points.
Yeah.
You hit on the second round, it was 9 points.
Yeah.
You hit in the third round, it was, and so on and so forth. So you could hit it and get 1 point, and someone else could hit it and get 10 points or 12 points or whatever it was. Those and that's a really good way to skew a match pretty significantly because you hit it on the and there was a guy who hit it on the first shot and he actually did pretty well for the match. Not necessarily because he shot the other stages very well.
It's just because boom, first impact going all the points.
Yeah, correct. He was running a 338 edge, and everyone else was running like a 300 or 308 or something. So I actually don't remember how well he did during the rest of it. So he might have done really well. I don't remember, but that's just that one sticks in my mind. So
well, there was a stage in the last Rimfire comp that was like extremely tight for time.
Oh, actually, this would be better as Rimfire comp. That we can mess around with it so much more.
But it was extremely tight for time. So it was very much like I thoroughly enjoyed it because there was that mental game of all right, well, no one has made the time on this.
Yep.
No one has come close from my squad anyway. So it was, all right, in what order do you do this? Because it was a stage where it would be better off for you to get 4 rounds off. You had to run back to get your magazine and then run back out. But then it's like, well, if you sort of run back in that time, you're going to lose so much time running back that do you just bank 8 solid impacts and then try and run? It's that risk versus reward. Do you try and run when you've only got 100 meters to run, or do you go, I'll run at 200 meters and know that I've got 8 points in the bag if you hit everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mental side of it,
No,
interesting.
definitely. Do you remember the one that was a canted 90?
We're just going on to it. We've changed this to the podcast.
The stage was up on a hill.
The
and
raccoon
it was
stage.
Canted 90 degree.
I certainly remember this one here.
Dear, that confused.
There's a great video of Sean Milner
so
swearing and abusing because he couldn't hit. So this is a stage, Josh. I don't know if you remember this video at all, but you should probably go back and look at it. It's on our channel somewhere. Where we used to shoot occasionally. We would call it raccoon right? And this is where you would lay your gun 90 degrees, one way or the other.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if you stuffed it up, you would end up looking like a raccoon because it's punching in the face. That's why he got its nickname. But this stage, we were fascinated with turning the guns 90 degrees,
Yeah.
right? It's a fascinating thing to do. If you haven't done it,
Yeah,
look into
I
it.
can't say that I've shot.
Yeah,
on
it's
an
not
angle
it's
like
not
that.
common to do because there's not. It's very debatable if there's a practical application where you could actually utilize that. And there are some discussions that yes, it could actually happen in the real world, and sometimes but it's a fascinating foray into understanding, like a deeper understanding of what your gun, what your scopes, and your barrels relationship is.
Yeah.
When you change that relationship from, well, we're getting deep here, on top of each other, to spooning. I mean, side by side. Sorry. It's lost elsewhere, and it changes some things, but you start using your windage as elevation. Your windage style is elevation, right? So you used to actually play like most of our matches would have some element of raccoon shooting in it, and so this particular stage, because this is like a bigger match, and not everyone was familiar with it because we had guys coming from all around the country. You had a target. I'm going to falsely remember all these details. But you had a target at 200 meters and you had a target at 1100 meters. And you could shoot the 200 meter target at raccoon and it was worth like triple points or something.
Yeah.
Or you could shoot the target at 1100 and was worth 1 point, right? Or you could do both and there was like a bonus point if you hit a target on both.
Yeah.
Details are sketchy, but something on those lines. There was incentive to shoot raccoon and there was incentive to shoot both.
Yeah.
And the amount of guys who started off like, 200 meters target, that's easy. Bang, miss, bang, miss, bang, miss, bang, miss. Oh, hang on, I'm running out of rounds here. And then like lob it up and change it and go out for 1100 and then, struggle there as well. Was quite amusing. So some guys took the safe points, but that was quite, like I wouldn't put it in a PRS match these days because I understand the argument against it being practical. But perhaps it's to be fair, it was about a 3-minute process to get your data.
Yeah.
To be able to set up a new profile in your ballistics app to be able to shoot your same gun raccoon. And it was, I mean, I remember like there was questions about it. So I went out one day and I went, all right, I'm going to spend my few minutes at 100 meters. So I did change my data. Like I used to use applied ballistics. You replicate the profile, put an offset into it. I went out to 800 meters, dialed my windage up, bang, first round impact.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, well, this sucker works. This is all right.
Yeah,
cool.
so it's doable.
This is all fine. Yeah. Doable if you know how to set it up. So January 2023, assuming this podcast has gone out before then, prepare for raccoon stages.
Sweet.
Butters used to run them as well.
Yeah, right.
Butters made a really rude one year where it was like a steps barricade.
Yep.
Like a PRS Skills 2 sort of ish barricade, but a few more steps. And you would have to shoot, if I'm remembering this right, I'm sure he'll correct me, but I won't listen. You had to shoot like vertical, 90 degrees right, 90 degrees left, vertical, 90 degrees right, 90 degrees left, vertical. With your gun in the normal position, then tip it 90 degrees, shoot, tip it 90 degrees the other way, like 180 degrees, I guess, back the other way, and then back to your normal position, and keep doing that over each of these steps.
Yeah, there's stages like that I'd be happy to film.
Yeah.
You have to have a pretty good swear word filter on that stage because there was lots of them flying. So there were stages like that.
Disconnect the mic.
Yeah, that was quite amusing. But and like those. I'd like the freedom to be able to play with those stages in an environment that everyone's like, yeah, cool. We want to run some stupid stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're fun. They're just
totally
balls out fun.
Before you talking about field matches I've never thought about it before.
Yeah.
Is the different wind.
Oh yeah.
In that you could be this way. The wind is, coming from straight 90 degrees left, but then you flip that around and the wind's coming from behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just every which way you turn, it's doing a different thing.
There's a stage on our YouTube there somewhere that was I I don't remember what it was called, but you shot nearly 270 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you shot this sort of huge arc of fire and you shot 3 or 4 different targets across that arc. And it was a new wind call, like a completely new wind call, because you were at this sort of center point and this high ground of like a wind pattern would go one way and then a wind pattern would go a completely different way. Plus you had an angle change.
Yeah.
It was unique. I'll try and put a link to it somewhere in this podcast.
I'll go through and find it because I'm curious to see that now.
It was good. So anyway,
Good times.
we've distracted ourselves a little bit from firsts.
That's
So
all right.
the last question I have for all of you gentlemen, well, not for Josh, Andy, first time you reloaded.
Oh.
Josh, first time you reloaded.
Never.
Good, perfect, excellent. On to you, Andy.
That was quick.
This would have been with another common friend early on, Ryan.
Yep.
He took me through that reloading process.
I believe the word is mutual friend.
Mutual?
Common is
What
really,
did I say? Common
really
friend.
like just common. Just
a
common folk.
Yeah, mutual friend.
Ryan is not common. He is
No.
mutual.
That's it. That's the one I'm going for.
Shout out to Ryan. Cheers, mate.
That's right. That's like almost
I'm out of beverage.
like the rare timber or raw timber.
Rare timber now.
Rare timber. So
The rare raw timber?
Well, the
That's
way
the
things are going, if you've been to Bunnings
Yeah.
recently, timber is getting rare.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. So he sort of showed me the ropes on where to start, how to start. And this is how you resize it. This is the bit that goes pop, and this is the stuff that goes bang. And yeah.
So your
That was-
first reloads, when you went to shoot them, how did you feel?
Pretty cool that I
Pretty
could put
good.
something.
Okay.
Like you could put something together.
Yep.
Like obviously, I was like, oh man, I hope this thing doesn't blow up.
Okay. How serious you were about the not blowing up bit? Oh, this is what I'm curious about.
But, not that serious.
Okay, because I stood behind a tree with a string on the trigger.
Oh, really?
That's how serious I was about my first time reloading.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm not standing anywhere near this thing because I was involved.
Yeah. All right.
Smart.
I took reloading
Smart.
classes from you one day.
Yeah, I got better. I got better.
Oh, that's good. That's
I got
good.
better. But the
See.
first time around, I was like, I'm nervous about this.
Yeah.
I put this together. I'm not good at putting things together.
Did the first one blow up though?
No, it did not. It was fine. I
cool.
was over dramatic, which I guess is not a big surprise.
That's fair though, because I would be behind the tree.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even come. You'd be like, "Hey, here's some reloads I made. Go shoot them.
Let me know how it goes.
Let me know if they're all right." Yeah, cool.
it.
All right,
yeah.
excellent. Well, guys, thanks for watching.
thank you.
beertochap.com/impact if you want to get all that sort of gear. And guys, thanks for watching. Andy, we're out of drinks. Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.